Hi, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I'm Gabi Awad, your host for today's show, Buying Customers. Some know me as the Coach on Wheel because I have a YouTube channel where I coach while riding on my motorcycle. Check it out, hit that subscribe button, and click that notification bell. As a business and executive coach, I help business owners, leaders, and teams grow and achieve their goals through business re-education, coaching, mentoring, and training. My mission is to help business and leaders grow. By the way, we would love to hear from you in real time during our show. If you are listening live or listening to one of the recordings, you can always connect and interact with us on social media or by using the IBGR app for Android and iOS. Just search IBGR on Android Play or Apple Store, and then you can listen to current programming, on-demand podcasts, read the show notes, stay current on IBGR news, and connect with us on air. Take IBGR with you wherever you go. If this is your first time listening, welcome, and if you are a returning listener, welcome back. In this Buying Customers episode 12 of season 4, we are going to talk about speaking and presentation skills for sales professionals. Actually, you can implement this on any kind of career, but specifically, we're going to talk for salespeople this time. More specifically, also, we are going to talk about engaging your audience, using stories and asking questions to make an impact and to influence your audience, and much more than this. This talk today will leverage your presentation skills and makes you feel more confident presenting your ideas to influential decision makers such as your managers, clients, investors, board members, executive teams, colleagues, etc. It will help you present your results and get people to take action. Whether you're speaking to one person or to 1,000, what we are going to discuss today applies. Once we finish our talk today, you should be able to follow an action plan to take your speaking and presenting skills to another level, a level where you can make an impact and push for them to take action. Whether that action is your next meeting or a deal or closing a sale or just passing an idea or a business case. Make sure you take notes while we are talking today. When you come to write your first few words, you might need to refer back to the show notes. You can go now and download those show notes from ibgr.network. Why speaking? Why presenting in the first place? At work, we are often required to present our ideas, solutions, services, pitches for clients, colleagues, or the public audience. Making presentations to co-workers or senior C-level managers, delivering client sales pitches, giving a speech for an audience, or taking part in a formal meeting, or even going live on social media can be stressful. This experience might cause you anxiety and worry, even when you are confident in your material and you know it all, and you've been doing it for the last 2 years. John C. Maxwell said, "Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And influence is communication and speaking and presenting." Okay, so this is the core of communication that you need to acquire as skills. So improving your speaking and presenting skills has a direct effect on raising your leadership lid or potential. What is the leadership lid? According to the law of lid from our friend John Maxwell, the higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. The greater the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be. Whatever you will accomplish is restricted by your ability to lead others. To lead others means to influence. To influence others, you need to communicate. And to communicate, you need to be able to present and speak with a way of, making impact. So leadership's ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. The lower an individual's ability to lead, the lower the lid on their potential. What is the lit score on your leadership? Can you grade yourself from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest? There are 18 qualities of leadership. You can get back to those from the show notes. Score yourself from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest on every quality of those leadership, and find the average. Those qualities are character, charisma, commitment, communication, courage, focus, generosity, initiative, listening, passion, positive attitude, problem solving, relationships, security, self-discipline, servanthood, teachability, and vision. What would you do to work out your leadership strength and leadership weaknesses and improve on those strengths and weaknesses? Commit with a to-do list and make a stop doing list. Now, let's discuss a bit the law of influence. He who thinks is leading and no one is following is only taking a walk, said John C. Maxwell. According to John, there are 5 myths of influence. The first myth is the management myth, the idea that leading and managing are the same. The second myth is the entrepreneur myth. Entrepreneurs are skilled at seeing opportunities and going after them, but that doesn't mean they are good leaders. The knowledge myth, knowing what to do and influencing others to do it, take a different skill sets than leadership. There's the pioneer myth. You can get first, but no one follows you. You are not a leader. And there's the fifth myth, which is the position myth. If I have a title or a position, people will have to follow me. See, your audience will ask 3 main questions before you can make an impact in your speaking, in your presenting, in your sales, in your leadership. First question, do you care for me? The second question, can you help me? And the third question that your audience will ask, can I trust you? So we need to connect and only communicate in our speech or presentation. It's about the others. It's not about you. It's not about your product, your company, or your certifications, or grade, or title, or prizes. It's not about your achievements. If you want to communicate with others with impact, you have to get over yourself. You must shift your focus from inward to outward, off of yourself and onto others. The best communicators concentrate on the needs of the audience and factor them in when they're delivering a specific message. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself as a good listener, and why? What signals do people look for when trying to determine whether or not you care about them? How do you communicate trustworthiness? Connecting goes beyond words. There are 3 components to communication. The impact of a performance is determined by 7% by words you use, 38% by the voice quality, and 55% by non-verbal communication. Humans unconsciously send and receive non-verbal signals through body language all the time. Non-verbal communication is the single most powerful form of communication. Non-verbal communication provides you with clues as to what is on another person's mind. So words are 7% of the message, voice and tonality is 38% of the message, and body and language is 55%. So how would others believe what we say when we communicate is more than 90% of the impression that we often convey, and this has nothing to do with what we actually say. This is very important, and when we use the body language, we project influence, we project pictures, we project enthusiasm, we show we care. By using open palm gestures, as a matter of fact, we are inviting people. By using steeple hands, we are telling people, I'm listening. I know what you are passing through. I've been there. So these projections of feelings will project on your audience what you are really saying, not only what you are really saying, but how you are saying it. And people got mixed up. Again, if you close your eyes and you think of the red or the white fox that has no red tail, what pictures come to mind? The picture of a white fox with a red tail. Although I did not say he had or it had a red tail, I said it had no red tail. So see, different people interpret different feelings on their pictures, and we think in pictures, and then we take action. So the picture that you are projecting on the stage does matters. We are now going to take a short 2 minutes break. When we return, we will see how this energy that you have plays a big role in communicating, speaking, and presenting. If you're looking for more one-on-one help to grow your business, you can check out our website or under the business directory of our vetted professionals in all 4 of our market segments. Just go to ibgr.network, to the Home tab, then to the Us tab, then choose your market segment, and then select a host. You have been listening to Buying Customers, and today we're speaking about presenting and speaking skills and how to turn those to your benefit to make an impact in your sales. I am Gabi Awad, and we will be back after a short break. We are back, and you are listening to IBGR Network. I'm your host, business and executive coach, Gabby Awad. In this episode of our buying customer journey, we are discussing your speaking and presenting skills. Go to our website at ibgr.network and download the show notes. Before the break, we talked about the true definition of leadership and how to communicate with an intention to make an impact. Now, presenting takes energy. To make a connection, you must spend energy to step towards the audience, both rationally and emotionally. Initiating connection involves preparation and service, each of which depletes your energy reserves. Communicating with an intention to connect requires stamina. You must recharge in order to have mental and emotional strength to offer to others. Have you ever tried to wing it during a presentation rather than putting in the time and energy to practice? If so, what was the result? See, the four unpardonable sins of a communicator are: one, you being unprepared, uncommitted, uninteresting enough, and uncomfortable. All require a lot of effort and energy. If you are speaking for 5 minutes, you need a lot of preparation to convey the message with clarity and impact in a concise manner. If you are speaking for 1 hour, you need a couple of hours to prepare because you have time to elaborate and support your ideas. And if you are speaking for a day, then you are ready. So the less time you have to speak or present, the more time you need to being prepared. This is if you want to influence and make an impact. Or else it's going to be a discussion or a chat. In all cases, simplicity is key, and simplifying your message is a skill, and it's necessary if you want to get through when you communicate. Shorten your message so that others can remember it. Stick to a main point and don't hop from topic to topic. Also, be repetitive. Good speakers cycle through the same information until it sticks in the minds of others. What does it mean to be interesting as a speaker, as a presenter? Well, a good speech contains the elements of conversation: stories, dramatized with vivid details, and opinions or call to action. Your sales presentation should not be scripted like you are saying a poem. Keep it conversational. Actually, keep all speeches conversational. Good presentation is a good conversation. A speaker who thinks that a great speech is delivered in speaker performance mode is making a big mistake. It's not a performance. It's not about you. It's not an act. Keep your speech conversational, and you are 100% influencing and engaging and making an impact. When you become a better speaker, you become more skilled in conversation, and when you become a better conversationalist, I don't know if this is a word, you become a stronger speaker. One skill reinforces the other. This will make you more believable and more likable. Your presentation should have a purpose in all cases. You should ask yourself, what is the one thing you want to achieve from your speech or presentation? What would you like your audience to do at the end of the presentation? What decisions are you looking at selling? Are you selling a product, service, an idea, business case, a budget? Begin with thinking about the wants and needs of your audience. What are their interests? What do they care about? No matter how entertaining a speaker you are, people will not give you full attention unless you are talking about something that is meaningful to them. So put yourself in their shoes. Would you be listening to something that you are not interested in? Address their concerns early on. Skip the sales pitch. Tell them how they will benefit, how they will produce, how they will win, how they will profit. Too often, salespeople start out their presentation with a lengthy introduction about the history of the company, the background, and then They move to the functionality of the service or product. Boring, boring. Your clients don't care about that. They want to know how your product or service will affect their lives, their daily routine, how you will help them benefit. Excuse me. If you're selling training services, for example, to a big company, tell them about the training needs analysis you are going to offer for free. This is where your value kicks in. A needs analysis measures what skills employees have and what they need to breach the gap of growth. It indicates how to deliver the right training at the right time for the right people. Tell them the benefits and the results of doing a training needs assessment. These benefits are: where is your team with the problem or the need for change? What tasks and subtasks does your team need to perform better? What gaps exist between experts, average, and poor performance? How do we translate the needs into learning objectives, learning programs, and learning outcomes? See, in your presentation, don't sell the product or the service, in this case, the training title or the training agenda or, syllabus. Rather, sell the solution to the problems your client might have. Remember the IDA principle in marketing? Your message when you are communicating must also follow the IDA principle. It must address these 4 things if you want to have a chance of making an impact. It must attract their attention, gain their interest, stimulate their desire, and lead them to take action. Attention, interest, desire, action. If you did not influence them, they won't have the desire to take action. And your presentation won't have a purpose if no action is taken. The audience decides to listen to you within the first 15 seconds. So you need to establish a connection immediately, build rapport. At around 1 minute or so, they expect you to, be getting straight to the point. If not, they'll start to pull their cell phones and play Candy Crush. Studies of attention spans show that audiences remember the most information in the first 5 minutes of a 1-hour talk. At 10 to 15 minutes, it is time for a change. The audience needs stimulation. Give them an activity, ask them a question, tell a story, play an exciting video, use the floor, tell a good joke to keep them back on track where they are attentive to you. Avoid too much history and introduction. Nobody cares about you and your company, about your ISO and certificates and your product specs. Let the audience know from start what you will be talking about and what you want them to take action on at the end. Structure your presentation well and get back to the structure often. Work it piece by piece, like the Lego. Focus on one point only and keep it simple, and then move to the next point. If you are using PowerPoint, the rule of 5 by 5. Every PowerPoint should not have more than 5 bullet points, and every bullet point line should have only 5 letters. Keep it simple. If you are reading from the PowerPoint slides, why do they need you? They can read from the slides. Why you are there? PowerPoint is an aide-memoire. It's something for you to remember what to talk about because you have a structure, and the structure is deployed on PowerPoint. But it doesn't have to be this boring. Don't kill people with PowerPoint slide. Use visuals. Use matching colors, easy to read fonts, complementing colors. Don't use light colors on light backgrounds or dark colors of fonts on dark backgrounds. Have this complementing color and contrast between the text and the background. Use pictures. Don't be afraid to use pictures. People learn visually. More than half of the people, they learn visually instead of auditory, or kinesthetically. Use those to your advantage. In all cases, keep it simple. We're now going to take a short 2 minutes break. When we return, we will continue with the strategies you need to think of to improve your speaking and presenting skills to make an impact. Let's get social on the new IBGR application. You can chat with our mentoring groups in the chat tab or interact with us in the app social group. You have been listening to Buying Customers on IBGR Network. I am Coach Gabi Awad, and we will be back after a short 2 minutes break. We are back, and in this episode of Buying Customers at IBGR Network, we are discussing your speaking and presenting skills to make an impact. Go to our website at ibgr.network and download the show notes. You will need them at the end for the action plan. Before the break, we discussed the elements needed to make an impact in your speaking and presenting. We discussed the IDA principle in communication and the need to structure your talk in your audience benefit. Now let's talk a bit about the non-verbal communication. When we give a presentation or a speech, we work so hard on what we're going to say, and maybe we work so hard on our slides, and sometimes we forget that there's this whole other dimension or component of communication, and that's our body language. See, elements of body language are mainly your posture, your facial expressions, your eye contact, your arm and hand gestures, and how you move, how you use the space. Gestures are an important tool for a presenter. The challenge is to make gestures that supports the message and reinforce your ideas. Make most postures, if you want to be on the safe side, above the waist. Those below the waist suggest failure, defeat, and despair. Hold your forearms parallel to the waist with your elbow about 3 inches from the side. Make your hands part of your forearm, opening them with your fingers slightly curved. Use both hands to convey power. Gestures of direction, size and shape, description, feeling, and intensity are all effective when speaking. This big. Go to the top. Increase your lid. These are very important gestures to show the dimensions of the size and the effectiveness of what you are saying. If you are a habitual finger pointer, try practicing the palm up and palm down positions, and you will find that you create a more relaxed attitude and have a more positive effect on other people. Rubbing hands, depends. If the speed of your rubbing hands usually conveys different messages. Quick rubbing means benefits to your audience, and slow means you're devious. This is why salespeople are taught that if they use the palm rubbing gesture when describing products or services, they should use a fast hand action to avoid, putting the buyer on the defensive side. Clenched hand, according to the master negotiators Nuremberg and Calero, the hand's clenched position is a frustration gesture, despite the fact that the person may be smiling, signaling that he or she is holding back a negative attitude. Steepling hands, this gesture, people who are confident, superior types, or who use minimum or restricted body gestures often use this gesture, and by doing so, they signal their confident attitude. This is a fascinating gesture that is frequently used in, superior subordinate interaction, and it can help, isolate other gestures which indicate, a confidence or I know it all attitude. You have the up steepled hand and the lower steepled hand. The up means you are saying something important and you know it, and the lowered steepled hand, it means I'm listening with attention to what you are saying. You have also the folded arms. Don't ever do folded arms or put your hands in your pockets unless you're extremely confident in doing so. Folded arms, form a barrier. It's a normal human response that we learn at an early age to protect ourselves. By folding one or both arms across the chest, it's a barrier. A barrier is formed that is, in essence, an attempt to block out a threat or undesirable circumstance. It means we are not confident and we don't feel safe being on the stage. Your body language must be in sync always with your verbal communication, what you are saying and how you are saying it. And it should match the words you are using. If a conflict arises between verbal and nonverbal communication, your body language will govern the talk. Both verbal and nonverbal communication should tell the same story. Your body should help convey confidence, enthusiasm, authenticity. Let's move to stories. The best speakers are storytellers. Stories build rapport and establish credibility. Our mind was trained 100,000 years ago to transmit knowledge through stories. In speaking and presenting, we want the information to be remembered, of course, while we entertain the audience. We don't want to bore them. How do we do that? Well, through telling stories, of course, because stories are emotional investments. They are more compelling than string of statistics. They are exciting. They are easy to listen to. They draw your audience in, and they capture the audience interest. They put you in a position to influence. And they build emotions so they can take actions. By telling stories, you help them draw pictures in their minds, and when they draw pictures, their emotions are high, and where their emotions are high, they decide to take action. You don't have to be a bearded old man in front of a fireplace with a dark voice in order to be a great storyteller. Everybody is a good storyteller from birth. The only problem is that you don't believe in it. Practice it. Write down your stories. Have your inventory of stories. Have this story log that you can get back to and retrieve where and when needed, whether it's a sales meeting or a management meeting, or you are discussing global warming. I don't care. Stories make an impact. You will notice that you have 3 to 4 times those stories in your life that you thought you had. Use them. Group those stories you have logged. Categorize them. Index them. Which of your stories make people laugh? Creating endorphins. Which of those stories make people feel empathy? Oxytocin. And the next time you go into a meeting, you pick the story you want to release the hormone you wish in the person that you're talking to, and they will get excited, and desired effects, will help them take an action. This is what you want. You want to make an impact so they can take action eventually. My tips for telling stories in business are the following. Have a good point in the story you are telling. Example, to establish credibility, tell the story that when you presented in front of 2,000 people, this is what happened. They should be relevant to the point under discussion, your stories. They should be amusing, ideally. They should be as short as possible, and ideally personal, true, and about you. If you don't have stories, don't lie. Just edit loaned stories. Tell them, this is what happened with my wife, with my friend. Someone told me this story, I want to share it with you. Don't be afraid to use drama and conflicts. They reinforce your point. And when you tell stories, slow down, build emotions. It's a voice and tonality roller coaster. Leave space for your audience so their imagination kicks in. What stories can you tell in sales? That's easy. Tell stories about how your client X used your service Y and what they said after 6 months when they called you to thank you for making their life easier. Story about how you went to this account and implemented a solution or service which made a big impact on the profitability of your client Z. If you want to highlight your experience, tell a story about how you applied what you have learned at a client's premises, or how a client of yours benefited after buying your product from your showroom. Use your imagination, use names and real-life examples. We're now going to take another short 2 minutes break. When we return, we will continue with today's topic, presenting and speaking with an impact. After the break, we will do a recap and we will leave you with the juice of you so that you can take into an action plan so that you can improve your speaking and presenting skills. Don't forget that you can always connect and interact with us on social media or using the IBGR app for Android and iOS, which is already available for download. Just search IBGR on Android Play or Apple Store and download it and install it, and then you can listen to current programming, on-demand podcasts, read the show notes, stay current on IBGR news, and connect with us on air. You can take IBGR with you wherever you go when you do so. You've been listening to Buying Customers on IBGR Network. I am Coach Gabi Awad, and we will be back after a short 2 minutes break. We are back, and you are listening to IBGR Network. I'm your host, business and executive coach, Gabi Awad. In this episode of Buying Customers, we were talking about your speaking and presenting skills and how to improve those so that you influence and you make an impact on your customers, on your audience, on your followers. Go to our website at IBGR Network and download the show notes. Before the break, we talked about the verbal and non-verbal communication and the power of telling stories. Next, I want to provide you with tips that worked for me and leave you with an action plan to improve your communication skills. In communication, there are good and not quite so good voice habits. The good voice habits are the 5 P's: the power or the volume, not too loud and not too quiet. The pitch, it's the variance, and variance is key. The roller coaster, it helps bring emphasis to different bits. The pace, most people talk too fast because they want to get it over with as quickly as possible, or too slow, they bore people. 4, pause, good for emphasis. And the 5th P is pronunciation. Slowing your pace can help the pronunciation. See, 3 out of 4 people are afraid of public speaking, but fear stands for false expectations appearing real. Fear brings obstacles to grow and improve. The key obstacles of speaking are anxiety. I'm afraid I might say something wrong or forget something key I had to say. Judgment, the audience will judge me, so I'm doomed. Trust and building rapport, and they might not like me, might not trust me, and I might not connect with them. And there's the comfort zone. I don't want this, and I don't need this aggravation, so I won't be speaking. There's self-sabotage. I'm not good, therefore I won't even try to improve my speaking skills. There's, this glossophobia, the fear of public speaking, not being able to do speeches. In case of extreme glossophobia, individuals simply freeze before their audience. They might be unable to speak. They might find that their mouth dries up, or they start sweating, shaking, or experiencing palpitations. Your mouth dries up, or you start sweating, you have stiffness in the muscles, shaking sometimes, or experiencing those palpitations, as we said, and extreme cases, nausea and vomiting. My tips to lower this anxiety effect is to consider the origin of your belief, from where this fear started. Take the emotion out of it. Rehearse it as you breathe. Close your eyes and see yourself delivering the perfect speech. Those affirmations, those I am statements. I am becoming in the process of becoming the best speaker. I am making a big impact on my audience. Breathe deeply from the diaphragm. It tells your brain that it is all over. Be confident, be passionate. Use comfort props like an index card, the slide clicker, a pen. Direct your eyes to something you know, something you're comfortable at looking at. Arrive earlier and test the technology readiness. This will also help you get acquainted with the space and lower your anxiety level. Stay hydrated and avoid too much caffeine. These are my tips. Now let's move to the action plan. Because as you know, action speaks louder than words. Step 1, plan and prepare. Plan and prepare. Be ready. Do your homework so that you are well informed on the presentation that you will be giving. You are well informed on the questions you might be asked. You can explain it simply in simple terms. Know your audience and research what their industry is all about, what are their typical challenges in business, and how you will be going about answering their tough questions during the presentation. Compare your introduction to the opening paragraph of a book and try to start with something interesting to immediately intrigue your audience. Things like the question to ask immediately as the first word that comes out of your mouth. Instead of saying, "Hi, my name is Gabi Awad," when you go to the stage, what are your top what are your top 3 business challenges? Before you even introduce yourself. This will make an impact. Or tell a short story that you are going to tell, even before introducing yourself. Or the statistics that you will provide. 34% of people, or only 3% of people have written goals. Today we are going to speak about how to set goals. My name is Gabi Awad and I am your speaker for today. So organize your thoughts with an order of topics. You could use cue cards to help you remember, but avoid reading them word for word. Think of PowerPoint as your cue cards. Ask yourself how, when, and what, and remember the first 15 seconds to establish connection immediately. Straight to the point. Skip the background and the introductions and the prizes that your company had accumulated. When you reached planning for the body, brainstorm 1 or 2 aspects of your topic only, and find ways to support each aspect with examples, videos, stories, questions, facts, statistics, and graphs. During halftime of your presentation, your audience might get restless. What will you do to keep them engaged? Prepare, plan for it. Will you tell a joke? What joke? Which one would it be relevant to the topic at hand? When arriving to the conclusion during your planning, challenge your call to action. Does it make the impact you wanted? This is your point restated. This is the most important moment in your presentation. It is the why you were here in the first place. Step 2 of the action plan after preparation, practice. Practice makes perfect. It goes beyond phrases, and it's certainly true for speaking and presenting. Practice out loud, either on your own or in front of others. Use your phone camera. Record yourself. Replay. Visualizing, delivering a successful speech will help give you confidence. If you can, get a film of your presentation so that you can learn from your performance to improve in the future. Criticize yourself. Give feedback to yourself. Show it to your friends. Tell them what I can improve. Take note of the things you are going to improve by, giving this feedback to yourself. Use the resources that you are intending to use when you deliver it for real. Tweak it if necessary to make it flow. Try the technology and the resources that you are going to use so that you won't have surprises during the presentation. Practice, practice, practice. Ask your friends and colleagues on the things that you can improve. Ask them if if you sold them the call to action. Step 3 of the action plan are rituals. Before the presentation, taking a deep breath can help you control the tone, the pitch, and the volume of your voice. If you stop to take a breath, you will ensure that you are not rushing through the presentation. You will not be speaking too fast, and people will be able to hear what you are saying. Tony Robbins, for example, takes an ice-cold bath and jumps the trampoline before his speech. You can sing a song or speak to yourself in front of the mirror for 30 seconds to give yourself a motivational speech or confidence. So rituals. Step 4, this happens during the presentation. This is where you engage with your audience. Remember to smile and use eye contact. Watch out for clues from the audience. If they are bored or not interested anymore, if you have lost them. Smiles and nodding are positive signs from the audience. Fidgeting or confused looks may seem like you are losing your audience. Avoid using too many sentence fillers like I what One or two is fine and will actually make your speech feel more natural, as these are words we naturally use in the conversation. But don't over exaggerate it, because their span of attention, their focus becomes on those fillers and not the actual message. Be aware of your body language in your presentation. In general, you should adopt a relaxed, upright stance with your hands by, having them at your side, unless you are gesturing to emphasize a point. Use your body language to your advantage. Use open palm gestures and use the space around you. Don't be afraid to walk around. Remember to keep, the verbal and non-verbal communication in sync. And keep those tips with you. Read them before you go to the stage or before you enter that meeting. Have those printed and repeat them to yourself like 3 times before you start your speech. Jim Brown said, "Never wish life was easier. Wish that you were better." So, presentation and speaking skills, you have to improve yourself on a daily basis. Next week, we will talk about negotiation and beyond win-win. Try not to miss it, and if you do, you can always listen to the recorded podcasts. You have been listening to Buying Customers, and today we talked about speaking and presenting with impact. Be safe, wear a mask. I am your coach, Gabi Awad, and we will talk next time. Thank you for listening.